to this episode, and I am so honoured, thrilled, and feeling pretty excited to present to you a grande dame in the angel realm. Yes, Diana Cooper is here. Oh, welcome to the show, Diana.
Hello.
Oh, now, if you haven't heard of Diana Cooper, which I find hard to imagine, but she is an author, an international speaker and teacher, and she's been working with the angelic realm since her guardian angel appeared to her. Her mission is to connect people to angels, dragons, unicorns, and Atlantis for personal and planetary ascension. So in the middle of right now. And she's written over 30 books that are translated into 28 languages. And indeed, I think has a new book coming out soon, which we're going to speak to her about. But she's also produced many oracle decks, card decks, which are so useful for us for so many reasons. Now, she's helped many of us, well, she's helped me actually unravel old patterns of being, you know, with this deep consideration and compassion that the angelic realm offers us, and then enables through that space to step more and more into the light and the truth of who we really are at this time. So, Diana, where do we begin with the mother energy and the angel energy? Do you think that angels are an aspect of the mother energy, or some of them at least?
I think some of them are obviously angels, like the great universal angel Mary, who overlit Mother Mary. Now, she works across many universes, bringing in the divine feminine, bringing in all the caring and the nurturing and the compassionate energies to help us all move into that eventual balance, which is what we need. I think it's very difficult to talk about the mother energy without the balancing masculine energy, because the two are incomplete unless you talk about them together. And so always it's been in ancient cultures that the female energy, you had to have that embodied before you could take in the masculine energy, because the female energy was in you. It is part of our foundation, because the female has babies and nurtures the babies. It's the creator, creates the home. And metaphysically, that is the female energy. It conceives new ideas and carries them until they're ready to come into fruition. It's the masculine energy that does the protecting, but they have to have both in order for the female energy and the future generations, the ideas of the future, to come in. So it's the wisdom, the creativity, and the nurturing energy that are so important. And at the same time, you have to have the strength, the protector. He goes out and he finds food for the family. He is a nurturer on a different level. So metaphysically, the masculine expands horizons, takes the ideas and carries them through, seeks the knowledge and is logical, and the feminine takes them in and nurtures them. So one without the other is very difficult. I often talk about your own parenting. Obviously, we chose our parents at a soul level. So hard for people to get it, that it isn't the personality that chooses the parents. It's the soul that chooses them. Sometimes as an offering to the parent, but usually for our own learning, our own understandings. And people say, but why on earth did I choose my father?
I know.
He's all in the head. He never had any emotions. He never cared. And the answer is, you chose that so that you could develop your own caring, nurturing inner energies of emotionally looking after yourself, because he was showing you an example of how you didn't want to be.
Oh, that
And
is so true. I remember when I had my boy, and I was determined to not bring him up like I'd been brought up. And but you know, I still really value what my parents did give me, don't get me wrong, but there was it's like it's bringing it up to date. You know, when you tune into your mother energy, how do I want to nurture this little being in the truth of my heart to the best of my ability? And who knows, you know, maybe it wasn't completely right for him, although I have asked him and he's been pretty cool about it recently. But we did go through some tricky times. But you're so right about this. This learning bit. You know, we choose the parents that our soul chooses for us to evolve, and we just have to get on with it, don't we?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say it's much more. We have to look at what it's about and take a higher perspective on it. There's no point in just saying, I've got to get on with it, because we may not have the tools. But everybody can start understanding. And I think the very beginning really is understanding and accepting that your parents are the product of their upbringing, their past lives. They are a complex being that came in and did their absolute best. It may not have been right, it may not have been good enough, but at that time, they had to do their best. I mean, they may have been absent. Mother might have died. Father might have gone. They might have divorced. But that's a lesson too, because that's a lesson in being there for yourself. If a parent
Oh,
isn't there
yes.
for you, you have to learn that. And so nobody says it's easy, but
No.
every single type of parent we choose, it's about being there and understanding. You know, if you had a father that was bullying and aggressive, your lesson is to be powerful with compassion and enable other people to be themselves, because bullying comes from extreme fear, and it has, I have
Yes.
to have the power over something less able to defend themselves. And so if that was your parenting, then you have to look at yourself, understand the fear of that father or mother's inner child, and start sending them love. And at that point, you can balance yourself to send
Yes. This,
yourself.
sorry, this is such an emotive topic for me because of something that I did some healing with my mother and the mother line, because I didn't want it to carry on like it was. And like you said, that higher perspective, what's really here? When I tune into my heart, you know, we are all from love, you know. There's love in her, and absolutely I reached that and I was so overjoyed. And it's quite a long process. But that piece about how she felt about her mother, how she was parented, and then all the history then, and then when you have those drop in moments of just holding the compassion and the love, something happens, doesn't it? There's just a realignment and an awareness of like, oh, they were just doing their best.
I think that many people forget that bit, because none of us is a perfect parent. You know, it
No.
just isn't possible when we're in a human body on earth, especially now, because now is end times. You know, for thousands of years, people have been able to say, no, I won't take on any more family karma. But right now,
Right.
you can't say no. We have to take it on. At one time, say your great grandfather did something, and your grandfather then, his job was to take on that karma. He said, no, I don't want to. Then it came down the generations, and cousins could take it on. And now we're no longer able to say no. So people being born now, or having been born in the last few years, have a huge backlog of karma that they have to take on. So we are being, well, guided and helped to
Yes.
create our own wise parenting, so that we
Yes.
can forgive and release the past, let it go,
Yes.
ready to jump forward into the golden age. And I think if I had to say there was one thing to do more than anything else to help with our integration and ascension, it's create your own inner wise parents. Because
Yes.
if you've got somebody, if you had a critical mother, then instead of carrying on with that same critical voice in your head, which is what we all do, once we've integrated it, we take their voice on, which is why we create the same things as our parents did, even though we think it was something totally different that we've done and that we intended to do. We take on that same voice. But if you then change that consciously and you watch when you have a critical self-thought and you change that into what would my wise mother say, then that would be something life-affirming, something positive, something good. And we start saying that to ourselves. And that starts shifting us internally and making a massive difference.
Oh, you're so right. This I've been talking about self-mothering, but you're right, it's self-parenting because of course we need both. But as you also said earlier, it's the mother energy we need to connect with first because that is the nurturer. And it's like that to me feels like, well, it's really helped me to change or to shift my awareness from self-care to self-mothering. What would I do as my own best mother here? How could I hold myself? I think there's that holding piece that is really key that can kind of get overlooked when you're trying to do self-care. It's like, how about just be with this mother energy that you have, all of us have.
I'd say the mother energy is more important to start with. I would say it depended on the individual.
Okay.
Some people need to work first with the father energy and then the mother energy, and others need more of the feminine, compassionate, caring, nurturing energy. Some people need the strength and protection before they can even start on that. So
Right. Okay. Yeah, they need to feel safe.
absolutely.
Exactly. So, yeah. Wow, Diana Cooper is here with us, sharing such wisdom about parenting, not just focusing on mothering here. We've got the balance between the masculine and the feminine. And
I've got
well,
lots of grandchildren to parent.
yeah. Oh, yeah. How many grandchildren do you have now?
I've got 5 grandchildren.
5. Goodness me. Goodness me. Wow.
All girls, boy.
Oh, it's delightful. It was I wanted to just sort of connect him with the morning energy, the energy of light that comes with the first sunrise and the dawning of the golden age. Sorry, that just slipped in because you are so on it with this. So important to do the clear the karma, find that inner parenting, because what's happening next is really important for us to be on board with, right?
Absolutely. As you know, we're at the end of a 260,000 year cosmic era, which is almost unbelievable that we've chosen to come in right now at this incredible time of change on the planet. And so we're now moving into a golden future. The entire planet is becoming 5th dimensional, and that means that we're creating perfect families for the future. So after 2032, when the new energies come in, we will really be stepping forward into the golden future, which is the title of my new book, The Golden Future, because it's so, so important. And for the first time since Atlantis, we are now able to experience true love. It's the first time that that energy has been available to us on Earth. So we can start creating it in ourselves, in our families, and people will start sending out the energy to draw in their soul families. This is what's starting to happen now. And in the future, we won't have families where it's made up of all sorts of people that we've had karma with in the past or that we haven't known. We will be choosing people that are on a soul vibration with us. This makes such a difference when we're living with people and in communities where people are happy, contented, and feel at one with others. This is the energy of the divine feminine that enables this to come forward because it's heart energy. And we're moving forward into heart-based communities. We're not going to have the loneliness and the separation that we've had in the past. We're moving into true heart-centered spaces where people consider others as well as themselves. And what I'm always pointing out to people is that if you do something for your highest good, the universe rearranges itself so that it's for the highest good of everybody else too.
Beautiful.
So you don't have to worry about what's going on. If it's with integrity for the highest good, then it works for everybody. And I think that that's a really important thing. People spend a lot of time thinking, oh, am I being selfish? My heart really sings at the thought of going and living by the seaside or something, or taking that job. But what about the universe will arrange itself so that if your heart sings, then that's right for everybody. That brings me to another point, which suddenly came into my head, which is, I've always believed that the greatest gift that you can give to your children is be happy.
Nice.
Because if you are happy, then your children do not have to worry, am I good enough to make her happy? Can I make her happy? Oh dear, mum isn't happy. Is it my fault? If you are happy, doing what makes your soul satisfied and contented, then that is a massively good gift to your children. They believe in the future they can make their partners happy because they were good enough for their mother.
Yes.
And if your mother is not happy, then you feel you're not good enough to make her happy. And so personal happiness and contentment is really important for mothers, to do what is right for you to do.
To mother yourself well, because that frequency of heart and self-care is going to emanate out into your families, into your friends. And we all hear about, you've got to look after yourself first. They're like, well, I've got so much to do. It's like we're finding ways. And that's what this show is about. It's like sharing little tools and tips. Like if you're in the middle of doing so much, when can you find some time to come in and self-care? In the middle of a school run, can you listen to a podcast? You probably already do. Have you got any sort of tips, awareness sort of hacks that you could give for mothers that are really busy and don't often have enough time for themselves?
Well, I see mothers racing around, making sure that their children go to ballet on Monday and gym on Tuesday and swimming on Wednesday. You know the picture. And actually, is that necessary? Would those children be much happier going out into the countryside and going for a walk in their welly boots and raincoats in nature, looking at the flowers, listening to the birds? This is what happened before you had everybody on phones for hours.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to say the most unpopular thing it's possible to say. And that is, have a rule, no phones at the table. Something quite simple. That once there's a definite rule, children accept it. When parents are wishy-washy about it, then of course the children don't accept it at all. They know full well what's when you're being half-hearted and when you really intend to follow through with something.
Yeah, so this is getting back to the personal responsibility of self-parenting, that if you want to encourage your children not to be on devices, you've got to manage that yourself.
You have. And it's so interesting. I was in a cafe the other day and I was considering how I use my phone as a default. And I was just thinking, no, my daughter went to the toilet and I just thought, no, I am not going to listen to something on the phone. I'm not going to check my emails. I'm just going to sit here and enjoy it. And then I noticed all the other people in the cafe, as soon as their partner got up to pay or go to the loo or whatever, they got their phone out. And it's an immediate, it's a kind of almost like an anxiety stopper. You get your phone out. And it's recentering and recalming self so that then your children feel calm and safe. Now, if you've constantly got to find some means of distracting yourself, then how can these poor children coming into this complex world expect to do the same?
Very, very good. Very, it's not easy for us to manage this phone distraction thing. I mean, if you've seen Social Dilemma, I think it really helps. But we're needing to bring conscious awareness into our choices. And, you know, I find it as well. It's like a compulsion. I have to actually put it over the other side of the room and put a timer on it. That's a little hack I've used. It's a very simple one, but it's like put it out of reach. And then when you find you're reaching for it, it's like, oh no, I'm not going to do that for another 45 minutes or something. And you have to retrain ourselves, don't we? Um,
It's come in very quickly and suddenly
yes, yes.
on email and phone and text.
And it's been amazing to have these ways of communicating with one another, but it needs to be measured. I mean, I love that you've brought in going into nature. Is one of the themes that comes round and round in this show. It's like, this is the simplest thing. And of course, nature is Mother Earth. You know, she's calling us back into commune with her for really good reasons, you know. There's the balancing act of nature for you to like breathe in and absorb and be in awe and wonder of that leaf unfurling or the light coming through. Oh, the beech leaves at the moment. Oh my goodness, you know, and to have that wonder and awe at nature because it is incredible and so easy to overlook. So,
and so fascinating. Children nowadays, they don't know the bird song. They don't know the names of the flowers. It's very interesting to me. As a child, you'd pick a flower, probably not allowed to now, a wildflower, and you press it, and that is with you for ages. And you then make a card with it or something. That's all nature's provision.
yeah, I remember going in with my wax crayons and paper and sort of doing the barks, the different sorts of bark
Right?
and what those patterns brought up, and just feeling like, just it was quite good fun, you know. Um, and so that taking your kids out into nature, getting them used to it, even when it's raining, especially when it's raining, because you can put your wellies on and you can get into the elements, you know, how it smells different when it starts to rain, and noticing that and bringing that up into conversation with them, you know. And as you say, bringing flowers back or stones or something that has attracted them in from the magic of nature, and to commune with it. I mean, maybe even making a family altar of like of or collection of what do we find this week, what is on there. That just came into me. I don't know anyone that does that, but it maybe it is something that could happen. And all
I can
this,
remember watching my granddaughter when she was about 15 months, squatting on the pavement, watching a snail walking across the pavement. She was totally mesmerized for about 15 minutes. But mothers these days don't have 15 minutes to stand with their grandchild while they're crossing a with their child while they're crossing a pavement, while they're watching a snail or whatever it is. It's patience. It's taking us back
yes,
to that very early element of watching and nurturing. Also, in the time of Atlantis, every family had a pet and every child had a pet. And it was considered part of their development that they had to take responsibility for the welfare of another being.
yeah.
It's part of their growth. And that was what gave them compassion and understanding and caring. And even just looking after a plant, that gives a child an understanding. If I don't water that plant, it droops. It needs that. It needs me to give it that. And that's also a learning that children need nowadays.
Yeah, and I think that you've also brought up the role of the grandparent that has got more time and more patience, and that children need to be around adults of different ages. And,
Yeah.
you know, I just think it's so important to bring the grandparents in and involve them in the lives of the children. It's so, you have so much to give and to share and to, yeah, patience, like you say, and awareness and observation and wisdom.
I think this is part of the golden future. Families will be rejoining each other again. In the past, it's been everyone scattering to do their own thing. But because of the soul energies involved, people are going to start moving together into communities where they are much more caring and sharing than this current generation. And so it's part of the energies. The navel chakra is starting to come more and more open for more people. They're bringing in their 12 chakras. The navel chakra is there and it's coming out so that people are more community minded. They're understanding oneness, understanding that we are all one, that you cannot hurt somebody else because you're hurting yourself. All of this is part of the understanding that's bringing people together for a golden future. As we know, in the future, all these pyramid structure, big businesses and banks and insurance companies and things, they're all collapsing. It'll be much more living locally, eating locally, and sharing locally. And so I think that people that are all into having the best car, the biggest house, are going to find it quite difficult to make the shift. But those who are into nature and are already connected in the ways that we've been talking are going to find it much easier to move into the fifth dimensional golden future, which is a stone's throw away from us now.
9 years, I believe.
Absolutely.
Diana Cooper. Sorry.
Before COVID, I was thinking, how are all the things I forecast in this book going to come about? And then suddenly we had lockdown and everything started to change. We literally saw the big businesses beginning to collapse. We saw that you couldn't travel from New Zealand with apples for England. It's ridiculous. And these things will all be stopping. Petrol becomes so expensive, you cannot do it. So,
yes. Oh, such wisdom sharing. My heart is like pounding with joy at all of what you're talking about. It's a recognizing a truth of being like, keep going, keep checking in with your heart, keep being with your presence on the earth and communing with others in that like-hearted way. But Diana Cooper is my guest, and we've already been looking at the golden age that's coming in 9 years. We've been looking at the power of the balance of the masculine and the feminine, so you can parent yourself first before you even try and parent somebody else. How it's so important to encourage your children to choose and want to be engrossed in nature as part of their healing, but also part of their development as like rounded humans. But also this thing about communities being connected through the same frequencies. When you clear the karma, when you step into being with people who get you, have conversations where you don't need to explain yourself the whole time. It's like so tedious. And it's like, this has been a big wish of mine. So to hear you speak about that made me actually feel quite emotional, if I'm honest. And the family and the range of family that we're getting involved with, the honoring of every stage of our existence here on the earth, because we're not here for very long, really, in the big scheme of things. So it's honoring that within ourselves. And of course, Diana is really well known for her work with the angels. And I'd like to just bring in something now around the angelic realm, how they are here to help us clear these past karmas, to transmute all the difficulties that we're coming up with. Yes, we maybe can feel and vision in the golden age, but we've still got some tricky stuff to navigate and to work with and to transmute. So yeah, I'd love you to speak to us about that, if you would.
Okay, now you were talking, when we were talking beforehand, about Archangel Chamuel, the angel of the heart. And I don't know if you can see a pink orb on my wall behind me. That is an orb of Archangel Chamuel. Now, the white in the center is an angel of love. Perhaps actually take it down. White in the center is an angel of love. Then you see Archangel Chamuel's heart-shaped energy around it. And then actually on the outside, there's a little bit of darker maroony color, and that's Mother Mary, or actually the angel Mary. And so as you look at this, you have love being poured into you. So what I sometimes do is I take myself out for a walk and I just imagine I'm walking in this orb. So I'm breathing in the energy And then I am breathing that pink from my heart out around me, and obviously thinking harmless, loving thoughts. And it's happened to me several times, amazing things, but quite recently, one of my favorite things, I was standing on a bridge overlooking a stream in my local woods. My two dogs were with me, and as I stood there, I was sending this energy out around me. Nobody around. When I opened my eyes, there was a kingfisher on a twig right by me. My dogs were sitting on one side of me, and I can hardly believe it now, there was a fox sitting on the other side of me, because it was radiating harmlessness and love. And of course, those creatures felt totally safe while I was in that energy to be near the dogs, to be near me. And of course, when I opened my eyes and I looked down and I saw the fox, the dogs went,
Oh, exactly, reality kicking in. You've just put two bits
took
of
the away.
yeah, you just put two bits of the jigsaw puzzle together for me now. It's the word harm, because I love the word harmonize. It's something that I work with the elements all the time. We're harmonizing the elements. I'm like, why does it begin with the word harm? And you just said harmlessness. It's like, when we radiate harmlessness, compassion, we come into harmony, surely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's another story I quite often tell, which I love. Some years ago, a friend of mine was in a beauty spot, and she was seeing all the litter that was lying around, and she was thinking very horrible thoughts about all the people dropping litter, as it's so easy to do, to be
Mm,
judgmental.
mm.
And this voice came from nowhere and said, "And what about the psychic litter you're leaving with your judgmental thoughts?" And she went, "Oh,"
I love it.
and
Ooh.
told me that story. And it was like, whoa, I
Yes.
have to change. And for things like litter, I then started to be aware of my thoughts about it. And then I started to change it so that as soon as I saw a bit of litter, I would think, bless the person who dropped it,
Mm,
bless them, with a feeling of belonging and
mhm,
self-worth. Because
mhm.
if you feel belonging and you have self-worth, you don't foul your nest with litter. And so I had to change something in myself to become harmless to that person, because all the time you're sending out judgmental thoughts, that is battering them with
Yes.
psychic energy.
Yes.
We have wars around the world, and the two sides are battering each other. It's not possible to make peace while somebody is fighting you with psychic arrows.
Mm.
And so it's change it and get into a habit of changing it. So that when you think about, we're talking about mothers, if you've got angry thoughts about your mother, dead or alive, if you send those thoughts out, it's like arrows to them. And
Yeah.
they can't change then, because they're being battered and their defenses are up. The minute they feel that you've withdrawn the battering, then they feel safe to let down
Yes.
their defenses and change towards you. And really,
Yes.
the first way to change a relationship is to watch the thoughts you're sending and change them, and look for something different in that person. Look for the divine inside them.
Yes.
I
Yes.
was
Yes. Yeah.
I had a very critical mother, and I was very blessed one day, many, many years ago. I was just going to bed and I saw this light appearing in the room, and I saw her higher self. And
Mm.
I saw the incredible love that she had for me.
Yes.
It was awesome. And it was just a golden, beautiful love, and her eyes were full of love.
Mm.
And then the next time I saw her, of course, she went back to her pattern, but I was seeing her differently. So I wasn't engaging in that arrows thing that used to go on. And it can make such a difference.
Totally. It's the frequency, the energy that you give out. it actually, I think, as you were speaking about that, I was also feeling about what about inside with the battles within yourself, where
Same
you
thing.
don't give yourself a chance to just drop into compassion and just go, I'm doing all right, or whatever you need to say to yourself to reassure yourself that right here and now, everything's okay. I think that's kind of a good place to remember to go to as well. This self-care within yourself to balance up the masculine and the feminine, or the yin and the yang, and to find that sweet spot in the middle that is peace, that is harmony, that is love. And then it's
Well, you
easier.
mentioned compassion a couple of times. And every chakra has a number of chambers. And in those chambers are the lessons you have to learn in order for that chakra to rise in frequency. We are now moving towards ascension. Many people are on the ascension path. And in the stellar gateway chakra, the highest one, there are 12 chambers. And one of them is mastering the lessons of compassion. So it's very important. Compassion towards yourself, compassion towards animals, nature, other people, but particularly towards your own parents.
Yes, definitely. And this can ripple back through the timelines as well.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
You've made a really important point there. This is end times, and we can go right back and start healing. And when you're talking about that, in your soul star, you have all your soul journey stored in there. And sometimes we've done forgiveness after forgiveness, but we're stuck because somebody way down the soul line won't forgive you. Their whole Now, if that happens, Archangel Lavender will go down that soul line for you if you ask, and touch their heart and open their heart to receive forgiveness. Now, when that happens, it can make a huge jump in your energy fields because they can let go of something and you can let go of it too.
Yes.
And so there is so much help available to us. Just doing simple things like calling in the different angels to surround you each day, and absolutely knowing that energetically they are there within your auric field, connecting with you and ready to help you to make the changes you need to make. We live in extraordinary blessed times. It may be complex out there. It may be that there's all this stuff going on as the old collapses. But there is so much more for our inner lives that is rich and exciting. And as we know, if your inner life is peaceful, your outer life reflects it. And so the more we make our inner lives calm, loving, compassionate, the more we receive that externally too.
Thank you. Thank you. Just to be in your energy field here has just been such a deep joy and balm and healing for me. And thank you, Diana, really, for sharing all that you have with us here.
Thank you, Clara. It's been really lovely talking to you.
Yeah. So, how can people find out more about you? Where can they go?
Well, my website, obviously, dianacooper.com. There's masses and masses of information and exercises. And of course, I've got a YouTube channel, loads of stuff on there too. And my books,
And
courses.
yes, all your books and courses. So I know that you have a very thriving, or a thrumming Instagram channel as well. So if you want to catch more of Diana doing her thing, card readings, all sorts, what color is she going to wear today? I know how much you love your colors, but there's that frequency coming and that lightness of being with you too. So thank you so much for being here on the show. And thank you all for listening. I'm going to sign off really quickly now because I want all of this interview to go in for you. And we did go on a little bit longer. And anyway, so if you've enjoyed this episode, please do tell your friends. If you want to find out more about what I'm up to, head over to claraapollo.com, and the angels are always at my side. So thank you for all that you bring through to help all of us, dear Diana. There's a vast energy within you that is there to help you parent yourselves. So go well, my friends. I'll see you next time.